Hello, everybody. Welcome to Just Chrissy. This is a podcast all about wellness and things, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all the things, and bodily. Today, I have a special guest, Dina Lynette. And she and I have connected a while back because she represents a company that I do business with, and she's always so helpful, and I'm always grateful. You are another person in the field that is just free, gives knowledge freely, is always there to help no matter what. There are times that things have not been your responsibility with me and my business, and you have offered to help, and so you're just always kind and
Oh,
generous.
thank
So,
you.
welcome to the podcast. You have an interesting background. You bring about 15 years of experience in the nutraceutical industry. You began your career with functional food in a capsule before transitioning to an organic turmeric purveyor, which I think is an interesting thing maybe you want to talk about. Your time working with an organic farm in Costa Rica, what a cool experience, taught you the importance of soil and creating the finest and most bioavailable foods.
Mhm.
Um, Although you haven't always had a passion for nutrition, your
No.
perspective shifted dramatically, as most of us have, after being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's disease, and a rare disorder. At one point, you were unable to walk or see due to blindness, and you were told that you would never recover.
Yes,
Interesting. God
I'm
had other
still told
plans.
those things. I'm
Go
still
ahead.
told those things. I'm like, I'm winning today.
Yeah. You're thriving today thanks to a focus on getting the right minerals, supplements, rest, hydration, exercise, and nutrition into your body. And as I was reading that, it was like, wow, that's what I'm preaching all the time. It's not just one thing, it's all the things. And your journey has been fueled by your mission to provide the finest nutraceuticals to holistic practitioners such as myself, but also worldwide. You have a lot of clients that you deal with, over 500, I believe.
Yes, over 500. And
Yeah, so
every day it grows. And
yeah,
uh,
that's because you're so kind to everybody.
oh,
So you support us worldwide. You combine your deep knowledge and your passion, and you share that with solid. You share that solid nutritional foundation, and with the right supplements, you can overcome even the toughest health challenges.
yes.
So I thought it would be interesting. The people might be really interested in hearing a little bit about your journey getting here.
Wow. Well, as you were reading that a second ago, and like you mentioned, and like I shared with you, it wasn't always that way. I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm a government cheese baby. I was raised by a single mother, and my mother, a lot of times your moms don't know, so there's nothing against my beautiful mother. As a matter of fact, I talked to her this morning. I'm sending her some aloe vera, right? And, but, a lot of the times people perish for lack of knowledge. And so I grew up just, wanting the processed foods as a child. I thought, like, this is a true story. You know what Wonder Bread is, right? The white bag,
Yes,
colorful
yes.
circles. And as a child, I remember I was embarrassed about the food that my mother would give us because there was some difficult financial uh, challenges growing up. And my mother was on welfare and she used food stamps and all of those things. So she would only buy what she knew. But as this child, I always wanted for my sandwiches that white bread with the colorful circles because I thought that's what rich people ate.
Yeah.
And you fast forward today, I can't tell you the last time I had a slice of Wonder Bread. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, and I'm unapologetic, the Wonder Bread company, about
I even wonder, no pun intended,
that.
the ingredients nowadays are even so different probably than when you were a child. So just how
Oh,
much, I mean, a
yeah,
lot of people are like, yeah, I grew up on this or that and I'm fine. Well, maybe, but how different are the ingredients compared to when you were a child? Um,
absolutely. It's yeah, and that was what I wanted. And then of course we saw that eating out as kids was like what rich people did. They ate at McDonald's, so my mother on special occasions would take us there. I knew nothing about nutrition at all. I didn't. And I didn't know the importance of molecules from your food and how they build strong bones and strong heart and muscles, strong brain, and all those things. And I'm of age, I'm a woman of age. And I would tell you that the last, since 2000, not even 11, 2013, my whole life has been shifted and changed. And what I know about food today, I can tell you that I'm a little discriminatory when it comes to food because what I know for what it does. I mean, I literally went from eating Wonder Bread to having mushrooms for breakfast today with fulvic minerals, humic minerals, and then I even threw some wild berries from an organic farm out in Washington into my breakfast. I would have never in a million years thought that I would eat that way, but with I don't come to everyone with this message. I'm not a doctor. I do have a big library of literature where I read and I study and I learn from qualified individuals such as yourself. And I've been to conferences, but I just want to make sure anything I share today, I'm not here to treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent. I'm going to be very clear about that.
That's just Chrissy's disclaimer also.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm not here to tell anybody to get off the medications, but I'm here to encourage anybody who listens to this podcast today to be a participant of your own rescuing of whatever your health
Amen.
situation is. You got to rescue yourself. No doctor's going to rescue you. I walked out of the famous Cleveland Clinic brain clinic years ago when I was crying. The neurologist said blueberries are not going to save your brain when she diagnosed me with MS. Well, that's what she told me, and I said I felt kind of dumb. How dare she tell me blueberries are going to save my brain? Well, I need it, and I'm not cured, by the way. I manage and I control my illness. That's what I do.
Mhm.
How do I do that? I do it without medication. I was on 11 pharmaceuticals and I walked with a walker. I was blind for 2 months when I had optic neuritis from MS. And they were always feeding me with steroids and IVs, and they financially bankrupted me there for a period of time. I think they're still trying to bankrupt me because there is no cure. But if there's no cure, first of all, we want to be able to give our bodies a fighting chance when anything does come our way. And I wasn't giving my body a fighting chance when I was diagnosed. I would eat pizza, I would drink beer, I would eat Wonder Bread, and then I would only eat once or twice a day. And then I was morbidly obese. People like you were, I said, yeah, I was morbidly obese. I was maybe a size 24.
What are you now? Because you're tiny now.
I'm no, I'm very curvy, but I'm probably like small up here, and then I'm curvy in the right places. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I move my body. I'm not seeking to be skinny. I'm seeking to have healthy cells because without healthy cells, you can't have vitality in your
You are preaching my language. You are preaching my language. So just so people know, you live out west, so you do have a little bit of an accent.
what
And
I
I'm
do.
glad you're gonna be visiting us a couple of times here on Just Chrissy podcast to talk about a couple different products. But today you're here. You represent Ameo, AMEO, and that is in my Get Healthy store. And we're going to talk about the humic acid, which we just call dirt. And Dina's going to explain that more. Dina, in your description, we talked about a nutraceutical industry, and then could you? Some people may not know what that means. Can you explain that briefly?
Yeah, the easy way. I'm gonna get a little bit fancy, and then I'm gonna make it really simple for layman's terms. Layman terms. The nutraceutical industry is the supplement industry. That's the easy way to describe it. So the difference between the nutraceutical and the pharmaceutical industry is that they're both substances that can promote the health of your body and my body and the bodies of everyone around the world. But the difference is the origin, the purpose, and how they're regulated. There's governments who regulate these two things. Pharmaceuticals, I don't know too much in terms of like the process to get things approved. Pharmaceuticals, it's just got to be a grass generally regarded as safe. But the cool and the best difference is that with nutraceuticals, aka supplements, is that these substances such as vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, probiotics, herbal supplements, they come from a natural source for the most part. Most of them are derived from real foods such as fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, or from the soil. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And they provide a ton of benefits beyond basic nutrition, and that's because some people, not some, a majority of the world, sadly, is living on a standard American diet still. And because of that, they're not getting all those vitamins and minerals and nutrients that they could from real food. And that's where they need a supplement to come into play. There's a time and season for everything. I do, when I talk to people, Chrissy, um, most people don't even know why they're taking a vitamin.
Right.
Oh, I just took it because somebody told me, but there should always be a purpose as to why you take it.
Or I was on Instagram or TikTok and saw a video
And what did they say?
that they saw it on Instagram or TikTok, and so they thought it looked good, so they bought it. That's why
Yeah.
they're taking it.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, we should all have a healthy, strong nutritional foundation. And sadly, most of us don't. And because of that, that is where you come in with nutraceuticals, AKA supplements, which will bridge the gap between what you're taking and what you should be taking. So
Right.
if you're not getting your minerals, like you're not getting your magnesium or you're not getting your phosphorus or you're missing, you're not eating the foods. I asked my hairstylist this morning, I asked her, I go, what did you have for dinner yesterday? And she's like, oh, I had some fish and some chips and there was another something else. And I go, do what vitamins and minerals, maybe the fish, there's some benefits to fish, but what did you get in these? And she's like, I don't know. I go, you get a lot of these from your fruits and your vegetables, believe it or not. And these fruits and these vegetables come from the soil. You're
Mhm.
made up of soil. She's like, I am. I said, absolutely. If you were to remove the water from Chrissy's body, my body, your body, and anybody who's listening, we were to move and we were just left with our substance. You know what we would just be? We would just be some organic matter such as soil. That's what we're made up of minerals.
Mhm.
And so with nutraceuticals versus pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, aka supplements, are bridging the gap between what you're eating and what you're doing and what you should be really, really doing.
And I
So
think it's good to point out too, you can't out supplement a bad diet, just like you are not deficient in pharmaceuticals. You
absolutely.
so it's to support your health journey, like it's to support good choices that you're making. And I think the culture is if we just get a pill, it'll cure every ill, whether that be a supplement or a pill, or a pharmaceutical. And it's never that easy. You have to
No.
do all the things.
And I'll be really transparent once again. I'm actually not against pharmaceuticals 100%. There is a time and place for
I agree.
pharmaceuticals. I should have been on a pharmaceutical and then hospitalized most recently, and I declined, and I ended up going for a high dose vitamin C, which literally fixed me within 24 hours. Um, but if I was in a car accident, Chrissy, and I'm going to lose a leg, yeah, you're going to give me some medication, some
I
painkillers.
agree.
You're going to, and you're going to take me to the hospital. And I am going to question the doctor after I feel better. Like, do I really need this? And then I'll try my very best to remove those toxic substances from my body once I recover because there's a time and place. But
Yeah.
people don't
We don't
realize
want to
how,
depend on them. We don't want to depend on them. And that's what I think we've gotten to the point where, instead of saying, why am I feeling this way? Well, we just go get a pill instead of trying, like when you said you went to the doctor and you chose the vitamin C, the high dose vitamin C, you took what knowledge and information you had and made a decision about
absolutely.
your health.
I hope that everybody who listens to you and to this podcast, I hope that they're empowered to ask questions. I hope that they're empowered. Again, we're not giving advice or anything in terms of like, don't take this medication. We're not here to
Right.
do that. But to really know, I always ask a doctor, why are you choosing this medication? I did have a conversation with a neurologist about a month ago, and I said, can I ask you a question? When this pharmaceutical that you want me to consider, can I ask you a question? We have a good relationship, so this is nothing against her. I actually like her. I said, are you being paid to recommend this to me? She's like, I am. I go, and there's no hate to you, Dr. So and so, for telling me that. I already knew that. I just wanted to know, and I had that trust, and she had that trust. I'm not going to put her
Yeah.
name out, but she was being compensated for it. Now, anybody who has MS out there, I know many who take the pharmaceuticals, but they do nothing to supplement and to put and give their cells a fighting chance to live their best life with a debilitating illness such as MS or
Yeah.
Hashimoto's or the other disorder. I didn't ask for
Right.
these. I mean, I think that illness has been around since biblical times. God didn't promise us a disease-free world. Remember the plague killed a lot of
Yep.
people, but he also gave us everything that we need to give our bodies a fighting chance, number one. And then when we recover, he gave us things to support us, every living plant and herb. It's a biblical scripture. You probably know,
Agree. Yes.
right?
Like Psalm 114 or something like that. I could be
Yeah,
wrong. Maybe it's Psalm 104. It's a psalm.
we'll have to find it. And
Yeah.
but he gave us everything that we need. And you know what the interesting thing as well, Chrissy, is that a lot of these things are not expensive or they're free. When it
Hmm.
comes to, I mean, think about the co-pays that people are paying out there for a pharmaceutical. They can range anywhere between $18 to $1,800 or more as their copay. That's a copay just to have that pharmaceutical. And now when I think, well, I want to give my body a fighting, I'm not saying eat some spinach and it's going to cure your disease, but what I will say is spinach, carrots, blueberries, bilberries, raspberries, tomatoes, um, cruciferous vegetables, which are my favorite. Those are going to give your body a fighting chance, and those are less expensive than any copay. And so, like, most people are not eating the way they
I
should.
don't I don't think they have the knowledge. I think we
They
live in a
don't.
culture where that the knowledge is coming back
Mhm.
because, there's more and more people who are out there teaching it. And I think with all the things that have happened in the last 5 years or so, people are digging more a little bit and not just trusting someone else with their choices. They're actually doing their research, looking for the answers. But I still think we're on the cusp of a lot of people just don't know. Um,
They don't. And like again, going back, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And I
yes,
is my hope and desire that with this channel that you have, you're a vessel, I'm a vessel, that we could impart the knowledge that we've been imparted. And
yes.
in our seeking, as we've been helping ourselves, we're here to help others. And that those who are listening, that they again not only be a participant of their own rescue, but pass the information on. And you know what? I will say this, anybody who's listening, I challenge anybody who's listening to go and try to find something against what we're saying. I do that all the time because when that happens, they go and then they get deep in the rabbit hole. They're like, oh, I didn't know that carrots were good for my eyes. I didn't know that carrot was good for my skin, or I didn't know that. And,
Hmm.
if we can put you in the rabbit hole, we would,
Yeah,
we would love that.
get you away from that what I call Franken food.
Frank, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about humic acid, which is a really interesting subject. A lot of people don't know what it is. I call it the dirt. If you're watching the video, it's in my drink right now. What is humic acid?
Well, we will call humic acid dirt because that's exactly where it comes from. And we're going to refer to dirt and the soil as the same thing today. And I don't want to get too sciencey or too technical because then I'm going to lose you or anybody who's listening. But what I will say, first of all, the human body is made up of minerals. Every physiological function that you and I perform, from our heart beating to our bones doing what they do both to support our
It's the
body,
glue. It's the glue to our body.
it's the glue. We're made up of minerals. And where do we get our minerals from, Chrissy?
Plants, the earth,
The earth. And where do the plants in the earth get their minerals from?
God.
Uh-huh. And yes, but they get it from the soil. Like our
The
carrot
soil,
got
yes,
minerals from the soil, and the soil came from God. I mean, he knew what he was doing when he created the heaven
yes.
and the earth.
If we let it alone, if we let the soil alone, the plants would get the minerals from the soil.
Organic matter. It's called organic
Yes.
matter. And what humic is, it's an organic matter in soil, in sediments, in the peat. And what nature has done, it has spent millions of years, because the earth has been around for millions of years, creating these minerals that we could use to optimize our bodies and our cells. So when people say, what's humic? We call it dirt. It's essentially what it is. But because our soil is so depleted from the abuse of growing foods using the same soil over and over again and not giving it a rest, first of all, when you go get the apple, that apple does not have all the vitamins and minerals that it had from 20, 30 years ago. It doesn't. That's a fact. It's a different thing. So adding humic to your regimen, I told someone this morning, she was telling me I haven't been feeling good and I have a poor diet. I go, you do me a favor. I'm not here to coach you what to eat today, but I want you to, with the humic, I want you to put 10 drops in a glass of water. Start your day like that every single day, because you're going to put all these trace minerals that are responsible for every physiological function in your body. And it's going to give your body a fighting chance to get over whatever it is that you're going through. And I want you to consume that. And she was like, really? I said, just go do it. We'll talk in a month. She's like, okay. So she had a task this morning. What's beautiful about humic, it goes through your digestive system and it brings what they call beneficial bacteria, which is a probiotic and a prebiotic. It's not, I mean, you can still take your probiotics and all that good stuff, but it brings that directly into your cells and it helps to boost your immune system because it's just minerals, it's just dirt. That's what it is. And it comes from this deep, our humic with Ameo, it comes about 15 layers deep into the earth's soil, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And it's cultivated from 4 different regions for biodiversity, just like they say we need diversity in our diets. You know, we need different bacteria in our guts. Diversity is important. The beauty about the humic that we don't grow it; it's naturally there. We source it. We pull it from 4 different regions in the United States of America for diversity in the gut to bring in the beneficial bacteria that's going to be there to support your immune system, your cells, your brain health, and to actually gently even detox your system. Not in a bad way, but detoxing is very important. You want to make sure that you're getting the bad stuff out of your body, such as heavy metals. I'm not sure how much you know about that, Chrissy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But humic is really, really good for that. And it's just something that comes from our soil. So we call it dirt. We call it dirt.
So
Drink your dirt today. Eat your dirt today.
yeah, so for the novice, they might be like, well, what are we getting from the dirt? Things like iron, copper, zinc, manganese, selenium, iodine, chromium, cobalt, magnesium, calcium. Um, there, I think how many different ones are there? Like,
There's about 75 trace minerals. They're in small amounts in a bottle of humic of this.
yes.
They're naturally there, nothing synthetic whatsoever. About
The
75.
The other thing that's happening that I don't think is talked about enough is not only is the soil not rested, but also we're spraying the plants now. So when they spray the plants, well, maybe talk about the cycle of life too, like how you have living matter, and then it will get bacteria, and then it turns fungusy, and then it turns into like this living mold that's composting that goes back into the soil. But what happens when you have a plant that's sprayed with like an herbicide is that it doesn't break down properly. And so
Glyphosate.
when it goes into the soil, it's not breaking down and creating the life in the soil. And we're just planting in that and doing that over and over again.
And
So,
then we wonder why we're mineral deficient. I mean, we
yes,
wonder why, like, I'm not here to say why disease exists. There's many reasons, but because of the quality of the food, number one, because of the quality of the soil, we're not getting those minerals in our body. I always love to share this story. If you have a sick tree, Chrissy, you're going to call the arborist, and the arborist is going to come along. You're going to pay him. He's going to find out what that tree is missing. And I like to use the human body as a metaphor to the tree. The arborist determines that this tree is missing phosphorus, and that is, it needs that mineral. And so when he gives it the phosphorus that it needs, that tree continues to flourish and grow strong and live its vibrant life. And that's the same thing with the human body. You need to know what you're missing, number one. Number two, you need to grow your food if possible so you know the quality of your soil. and to get those minerals in there naturally. And if you can't get everything in, that's where you could bring in the humic, because that's going to bridge the gap between what you all are eating and what you should be eating, because you're
Right.
going to get those 75 trace minerals that come from 15 miles deep into the earth's sediment that's untouched and have that diversity. And those minerals are going to go where they need to go in your body and do what it needs to do, you know.
Yeah, well, to your point about that, what we saw during the pandemic was, a lot of people just went and grabbed zinc, and they were like taking zinc in abundance, which, yes, zinc is very, very, very healing. But when you're taking minerals and you get them too far out of balance,
Yep.
it can cause an issue because zinc can cause you to have a copper deficiency. So what I love about the humic from Ameo, however people want to say it, what I
Ameo,
love about
Ameo.
that is when you put in the dirt in its natural form, like the humic, the body goes in, it knows what it needs, and it will pull it out and keep things in balance. So I always say, like, if you're not feeling well, yeah, take the zinc, for a small period of time, but don't do that every day because you're going to create this imbalance in your body.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that, because I'm really big, and I'm going to use a fancy word here, but it's really not fancy. It's called homeostasis. What is homeostasis? It means balance. So that's the word of the day, homeostasis. It just means balance. Imagine going into the forest, and this forest is, you can smell the earth, you can see the vibrancy, you can feel the energy from the earth, you can see the plants thriving. That's because that forest is in homeostasis, it's imbalanced, and it's untouched by anything that's there to destroy it. Now, I use that also metaphor like with the gut, the human microbiome. That's
Mhm.
another word of the day, microbiome. It just means your gut, which is about what, 80% of your immune system.
Yeah,
If that's in balance, you don't want to put too much magnesium, you don't want to put too much calcium, you don't want to put too much. You need little bits of everything. And when you have the right diet, you can bring a little bit of everything. But sadly, no one's getting a little bit of everything. Some people are not getting anything at all.
right,
So
right.
that's the beautiful thing about humic, is you're just getting a little bit. It's called trace, a little bit of everything that your body needs, so that your heart can beat, your eyes can blink, your brain could do what it's meant to do. I mean, people, funny that we were talking about this. I was telling someone, like magnesium, it's so essential for healthy muscles, nerves, even your blood sugar levels. And if you don't get enough of it in your diet over time, then you're going to be at a higher risk for health problems, maybe heart attack, diabetes,
Yeah.
osteoporosis.
You're
But
not going to absorb D properly and transform the D. And when the D goes in there, if you're lacking magnesium, you actually will get the symptoms of like lightheadedness and dizziness because it tries to pull it out and it's not there. It's depleting your body. There's like, I think the percentage, like 75% of the people are magnesium deficient.
yep,
And they don't know it because the blood test doesn't really give you a true picture of how much magnesium you have. It has to be a red blood cell test, which is a lot more expensive.
yeah. I think we're going to talk about that later down the podcast, because I'm sure there's somebody out there like, well, first of all, how do I know if I'm mineral deficient? Again, we'll talk
Yes.
about that later down the podcast.
Hmm.
But if you
Yes.
have your hair falling out, if your nails are in poor condition, if you have acne, if you've got you don't have
Restless
oh
leg
rest
syndrome,
nerves,
muscle cramps.
those are all signs of mineral deficiency. So that's the exciting thing about with humic. One thing that people don't even realize is that when you take humic, did you know that it naturally balances all these mineral stores over time?
Mhm.
I'm just going to say, and this is in no way a sales pitch at all, but if you were to take humic, there will be no need for all these individual vitamins that you have in your cupboard right now. True story.
Mhm. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
because you might be
Um,
taking too much of something when you just need the right, perfect little amount of
but
that
yeah,
trace mineral in your body.
I think that's what happens when people start to get healthy and then they watch all these commercials like, well, I need this and I need this. And so then they think that's what their issue is. And so they start taking that in abundance, where you're much better off to take the humic that has the balance in there, and your body it has the inbuilt ability. It knows God programmed it to
Yes.
know what it needs. And it's like it will balance it out itself. Just, but if you're taking a whole bunch of zinc or you're taking a whole bunch of copper, then you're creating an imbalance because the rest of it's not there.
Well, this is interesting. You may or may not know this, but there was years back, vitamins. A lot of these vitamins that people are taking are not being absorbed, and the company, a major company that they what do you call those porta potties? You know what a porta potty is? Those
Yes.
gross things at
Yeah.
fairgrounds and all that. They have,
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I
Go
know,
ahead.
they have to clean those out, at the end of the contract or whatever. And when they were cleaning those porta potties out, and I actually work with a doctor, I know a doctor personally. He's out in Florida, a very famous doctor, and he was involved with the study. When they clean up these porta potties, they could the amount of vitamins that they found in these porta potties in this, I don't know what to call it, this slush, disgusting slush, was massive. So what does that mean? People were not absorbing
Right.
these
It wasn't
vitamins.
bioavailable in their body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and so they did. There is a study, and actually, I have another podcast that I'm going to do at some point. But there is a study that where they. Okay, so first you got to know the FDA doesn't check any of this. So what
No.
you're buying on the shelf in the big box store is not being regulated. The only reason they're going to check it is if there's enough complaints that someone says it's whatever.
Mhm.
But they did a study, and what they found was that when they looked at the supplements, 87% of the supplements didn't even have in them what they said.
Yep.
So it's so important that you know where you're getting your supplements from and that, you're just not going and just buying random. And
Mhm.
marketing's really good. Like there's companies that market really, really well. But you have to make sure that you're buying from a trustworthy company. It's one of the reasons I love Ameo.
Well, thank you. And if for those, I'm not going to put it out here, but if anyone reaches out and wants to know the 4 places where we source the minerals from, we can give them a location, just because we can. And that way you're knowing where, these minerals are coming from. They're in the US. They are tested for heavy metals as well, because in the soil, because of toxic waste and water, the way runoff and all that, that gets a little technical with the science, but there's a lot of water contamination,
Mhm.
fluoride in your water. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh,
That
yeah.
water is going into certain lands, and that's the beauty about what we do with our humic is we test this before coming to market that there's no heavy metals in it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The other thing that Dr. Barbara O'Neill says is that 92%, I love her. Listen,
Yes.
92% of DNA damage is due to lack of trace minerals. It is literally the glue that holds your body together.
Absolutely.
So if you were going to do any foundational work, that would be like the first step is start getting the trace minerals in there.
I would say anybody who is listening to this right now, I don't care what you're doing. I would make it the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning is to have some humic minerals in a glass of water to make sure, because it, when you start doing these things, minerals know what to do in your body. They will go to work in the cells. They're going to rid your body of the things that don't belong there through a gentle detox, nothing crazy where it's going to make you sick, but a gentle detox. And to do that as a foundation, people were like, how do I heal myself? Or how do I get better? You need some minerals in your body. And if you can do that, and then you can start adding, okay, so now that you got minerals, now I'm going to start having a whole food, nutrient dense breakfast. And then you do things in baby steps, because if you throw too much, the body really is smart and doesn't need 1,000 vitamins coming at it. It doesn't need 1,000 different foods. There's actually a lot of simplicity to it, believe it or not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And not here to preach the message of veganism or anything like that, but I tell people, if you eat meat, if it's the right meat, guess what? That cattle that you're eating is getting its minerals from the soil as well. And if you eat the
Yes.
right meat, you're going to get that in your diet as well.
Which
Uh,
is grass fed, grass finished.
Grass, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love bison. I love bison. Um, but yeah, that's just somewhat. It's a Humic is like a very foundational thing that you can do to kickstart your journey wherever you are at.
If you want to know if your food has the trace minerals in it, it's pretty easy to tell.
Mhm.
It should have delicious flavor.
Yes.
So when you bite into that apple or you bite into that cantaloupe or you bite into whatever it is that you're eating, if it tastes like nothing, it probably does not have the trace minerals in there. And you can have an organic farm that is growing on the same place over and over and over and over again and can be depleted. So if you're eating food that's full of trace minerals, it's going to have flavor and you're going to feel satiated. Like you're going to feel like
Yeah.
that you had a meal and it was good. It had a lot of flavor.
Yeah, you're so right. And I'm not we're not talking about the sugar flavor either, my friends. We're
Yeah.
talking about like when you buy into like my mushroom shake this morning, it had a little mushroom taste to it, but I threw in some wild blueberries that were tart from the Washington farm and it had this tart. They just That's what food should taste like. No herbicides, no pesticides, nothing like that. And I could just taste everything. And I have enough energy right now that I could probably go till like midnight tonight. Not going to do that, but
Yeah.
meaning I'm satiated, I feel nourished, I feel energetic. I feel like my cells inside right now are like dancing and saying, "Thank you, Dina, for giving me some
Yeah.
nutrition," you know?
It truly is a partnership, though. Like I tell people, your cells are waiting on you to give them what they need to function, and you depend on your cells to keep you alive. It's a
Absolutely.
partnership. It's a partnership, and you have to give them what they need. Well, we were talking yesterday, and you were talking about like what some of the things in other countries, what they do in their farming practices that I thought was interesting. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So, like my experience working with the Costa Rica farm, it was a biodynamic farm, which is really important, meaning we weren't abusing the soil to grow this nutrient rich, vibrant turmeric root, which we added nothing back into it. And we would get the food that left over from the mills and any foliage that would, I think I have a picture somewhere in my phone. Um, what we would do is we would just use that same compost, that dead matter, to bring life to the soil instead of adding um, chemicals, anything like that. Because
Was Costa Rica one of the countries that required that you rested the land?
that's in Germany every 7 years. And it's also a biblical thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we all know that on the seventh day we should rest because when you rest, you give yourself more energy. You're able to go back and produce and work and do all those things. And the soil wants to do that. But in Germany, every 7 years, they rest the soil.
I find it interesting because that is in Leviticus 25, verse 4. It does talk, that was one of God's commands to the Jews was that they would rest the
Ah,
land, but we don't for some reason.
you know what? Thank you for saying that. I think sadly we live, don't get me wrong, I'm a very hard worker in my life. I feel good when I produce in life. And I can say that's probably one of my downfalls is that I've always been an overachiever and I'm always go, 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 but it was at the detriment of my health.
Yeah.
But everything needs rest in order to regenerate. Sadly,
Yes.
what's happening with our farming today is they're not letting the soil regenerate. They're just
Not
not.
only are we not letting it regenerate, but we're GMOing to produce more faster.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
honestly, if we ate wholesome foods, your appetite actually goes down because real foods, not ultra processed foods, but real organic foods are filling to your body. They feed your cells.
Yep. And I think it was you that we were talking about. We were talking about Dr. Casey Means, how she blesses her food. Like to me, when you bless your food is full of minerals, it's full of nutrients, it was grown the right way. If
It
by
brings you life.
anybody listening to this right now, if you could grow your own food, and just highly recommend doing that. That way, you know the source, you know the quality of your soil. But let's go back real quick. I was telling you about regenerative farming.
Yes.
I'm going to put a picture up here really quick. That was a farm there, and that was a soil. And as you see, all that foliage that would,
Oh, yeah.
we were just throwing all these palm leaves and anything that was left, food scraps. and we'd create a big pit in the farm, and then we'd throw this back in there to regenerate. So we
So
never had to bring
for
in
those of you that can't see it, it's just
foliage. It's
yeah,
dead
just you're just throwing it in there.
back in there, and there is nothing synthetic about doing that. And this organic matter here would make this soil more rich, full of more minerals,
Hmm.
so that therefore the food that we are growing was more nutrient dense and full of vitamins and minerals to bring life to the human body. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things. And if I could, I'd live on a farm. I just happen to live in a city where there's really no farmland around here.
She lives in a high rise and she has like one of those plant towers where she's growing
I
her
do grow
green.
my own greens on a vertical garden inside,
And
and
she
literally
has a composter on her counter where she puts her leftover veggies to compost them, which I think is the coolest thing. Like she showed me her little baggie of composted dirt. So some signs and symptoms, you talked about some of them, of being mineral deficient is fatigue, weakness, muscle cramps, anemia, deficiency in iron can cause pale skin, shortness of breath, dizziness, and headaches. I would say these aren't all inclusive too, because some other things can cause these too. But if you have like a conglomeration of some of these, it's good to check. Dry skin, dry scaly skin, brittle nails that you mentioned, hair loss, you mentioned.
eyes. I see a lot of people sick. I'm always looking at the pupil of my eyes to make sure they're white. If I ever see that they're not bright white, I know that something's off in my body. But
Agreed.
to me, like the eyes can tell a lot about someone. Um,
Yeah.
and it should be white. You should have clear skin. And this is against no one who has an acne problem. But I will say if there is an acne problem, it has nothing to do with the most expensive skincare on the planet Earth.
It's from the inside out.
Yes, because the skin is the largest organ in your body. And because of that, whatever is coming out on your skin is because something that's happening in the microbiome deep into your rainforest of a gut. And there's
Yes.
something off. There might be some mineral deficiencies, poor diet, leaky gut.
Hormonal, which can come from, I mean, it all comes from the gut and stress,
Yes. And did you
which
know that?
ruins the gut.
Exactly. And like you said, hormones, that's a big problem for women these days. Now, I'm not here to treat, cure, diagnose, but I'm saying if you have the right balance of minerals in your body without any of the synthetic hormones or birth control, nobody shoot me on that, but birth control is so toxic to the body.
Very.
I
And will
say
it will literally drive copper in your body too.
absolutely.
Interesting
So
how it drives.
yeah, I just don't want anybody to come after me for saying that. Like, kind of
Well, I will
feel
say, I will quote Dr. Purser, who I respect highly. He says that when you're on, say, for instance, the pill, you're not having a period, you're hemorrhaging.
ah,
So it's, you have to look at what's happening in the body. The other thing that you can have is depression, and
mental health issues.
numbness. What? I'm sorry.
Mental health issues.
Mhm.
That's prevailing in our country right now. I told someone, I met a gentleman the other day and he worked for a mental health clinic, and I said, can I say something again? I'm not here to treat, cure, diagnose. I said, if I had it my way, again, I don't have a PhD in psychiatry or
If
anything
you
like that.
if you had that issue and you were dealing with it yourself,
Yes, exactly. I wish that I could put a probiotic and good nutrition in the gut of every single person who had a psychiatric issue.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's lots of
That's a
studies
pretty
now
strong
showing.
statement. I know, and like I said, I sometimes I'm bold with my statements, but when I say them, it's because I'm not saying what Dina says is the cure all, the end all. I'm not, but there's some root causes, and you have to go deep into the root cause to find out what caused it. I do know somebody who suffered from a mental health crisis and an issue, and I saw their diet, and they used to wake up drinking a big 32-ounce of 7-Eleven Slurpee with a candy bar, then later on go get Kool-Aid, and then going and getting and I'm going to share a quick story in a second, but they'd go and get some food from the little oven at the 7-Eleven convenience store. That was their diet. And they had depression and all of that. Again, there's trauma and all those other factors, my friends who are listening.
Yeah.
But if I could just put a probiotic and good nutrition in the guts of people who are suffering from mental health issues, man, I can see the beautiful things that happen. But funny story, not to go really back, but when I was talking at the very beginning about my life story, I knew nothing about food, and I would say before the year 2000, one of the things that I used to do every day is I used to go and get gas station coffee in the mornings. Gas station coffee was not even coffee; it was powdered coffee with some type of sugar and some type of sweetened synthetic powder to make it sweet. And then I would get, I should be embarrassed, but I'm not. This was my people perish for lack of knowledge. I used to eat these little from 7-Eleven, these like rolls that had like they were greasy and they were cooked by an oven light. They were
Mm,
like the keto rolls that you get at 7. Have you ever seen those before?
no.
I was a gas station girl. I'm not lying.
Oh,
People think, they're like, Dina, you're so snotty.
listen, our gas stations, you don't have them, but our gas station is the Sheets.
The sheets.
Yeah, it's called Sheets. You'll have to Google it then. And I love them, but we don't eat there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no. And that I'm just 100%, I'm not here. If anything, I hope that somebody resonates with me and says, guess what? I eat gas station food.
Yeah.
And I too can change my life because I was a gas station person.
It's
I
easy
should
and
go and take a picture of
convenient.
that food. Taquitos and that fake coffee and a bag of chips.
Mhm.
What kind of mineral was I going to get from this taquito being cooked under this
It's
type
not
of,
even real food, probably. It's probably some ultra processed
yes.
agglomeration of something.
Yeah.
So
I,
numbness and tingling also can be a symptom of low potassium. So irregular heartbeat. I get irregular heartbeat if my magnesium gets low. That's my first sign that I am low in magnesium. I have to go take electrolytes and
um,
then I feel better. But yeah, but I use a I use a I use a infrared sauna a lot, so I have to do extra electrolytes because of sweating so much. And then we talked about restless legs and cramping and Charlie horses, all signs, all signs.
all signs of mineral deficiencies. And you know what? I talk to someone often that I know, a family member, and they suffer a lot from their legs. And I go, what was your diet like today? And they're like, I say, you're missing something. You need electrolytes. You need some minerals in your body because your pain is coming from a root cause, not just wants to be in pain to be in pain. You're
Right.
missing something for your body, but that's going to be up to you to find out what it is.
Yeah,
I know that there's many ways that you can find that if you really want to see it on paper. I believe you offer a
I do.
magnificent way to test for mineral deficiencies
Yes.
because you can't go to a Quest lab or a LabCorp and find out. Well, maybe you can for a few, but to get a
Yeah.
really intense, accurate test, I believe you offer some type of test.
Yeah, I do. So I have a test. It's actually a hair test. So it'll take the last 3 months of growth. You just cut a piece. Don't do like I did. I cut a piece like right here, which is now growing out and it's about this long. You want to go and get in back here, but and then you just send that hair in and they test the hair and you get a report back and it tells you. So interesting story. When God started to work with me on lowering my stress, and I thought I was doing a great job because I was a transportation director for a public school system. I had taken on all these responsibilities. Well, when my body was breaking down. I had to get rid of some stress. So I quit my job. I quit some of the extra activities. And I thought, I'm doing good because I quit that really stressful job and I got rid of this and I got rid of that. But when I did that test, it came back and said my magnesium and my calcium was still depleted, which said, because the test will tell you it's from stress. And so
Oh,
I thought that I had de-stressed, but I had not de-stressed enough. And so that was my and now I can tell you that I have de-stressed enough that if something's stress, what happens is you become immune to it because you're just so used to the stress and the chaos and the fight and flight. And then when you finally get to a place where you are truly de-stressed, you sense that stress when it shows up. Like you can feel it in your body. And so once I got it down to where it was actually down, then I knew because I could feel it go into my body and I'd be like, oh, okay, I can't do that. Because that just, I could feel that in my body. Um,
absolutely.
so
Your
it's
body
interesting.
your body, and as you're sharing that, what came to mind instantly about stress. So I believe, and anybody who's listening to this today, is it's not to say here's humic, your life's going to change forever. Being healthy is actually a very simple thing. Adding humic is just like, to me, it's like foundational. But there's so many things that you can do along with humic to support the human body that are free. When
Yeah, I did a podcast for 30 days, 15-minute teachings a day,
Yeah,
all of them free. All
free
free things you
sunshine,
can do.
free sunshine. First 30 minutes
Yeah,
that you wake up, go and get that fresh sunshine. Let the sun
fresh
bathe
air.
you, fresh air, breathing, proper hydration, rest, and reduce stress. And that's what got me thinking about this because you said that.
Mhm.
These are all things that, I mean, again, we live in a flight or fight world, sadly. But it you can make a small change just with humic, and then you can get good rest, great hydration, reducing, healing, because that's what God's here. He's here to heal our wounds because we all have some type of trauma in life. And getting that vitamin D first thing in the morning, and then detoxing, opening up those detox pathways to remove things, because that's the part of modern living today is we are taking in um, chemicals in our body. I mean,
Yes.
that's those are the perils of the modern world. Is we can live as clean as
You
possible.
can't avoid it. Yeah.
We can't avoid. I mean, even buying a new car, you're going to be inhaling all those fumes from the chemicals that were used to make the carpet and
Fire
the
retardant.
wool and all those things. Yeah. So, but I share that because it's humic is fantastic, but just combining with all these other things that are free, and it, to me, that is a gift that was given to us by the creator so that
Hmm.
we can live the lives that we were designed to live. And that means vibrant, that means happy, healthy, and to use the gifts because we all have a gift that he gave us. And
I agree.
utilize those gifts and live with purpose. It's not about adding more life to your years because we all have a time and day, but it's about
Right.
adding more life to your years. Remember that.
Yes. Some other things that can cause you to get depleted that people probably don't think about is medications, over the counter and prescription. Antibiotics are really hard. And again, if you're taking an antibiotic, be doubling up on a probiotic
Yeah.
because anti is anti-life. Pro is pro-life. So if you're taking an antibiotic, not only is it going in and killing off all the bad things, is killing off the good things too. And then probiotic would be putting life back in there. So if you're taking your antibiotic at 6 in the morning, then take your probiotic at 12 or 6 in the evening or whatever, but take it away from each other. Um, Antacids kill off absorption,
Can we talk
laxatives.
about acid real quick though? Something
Sure.
we're all guilty of. I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it, I think. I can guarantee 9 out of 10 people who are listening to this right now are coffee drinkers.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and
Oh yeah,
talking about coffee drinking. So, people think when I say, "Oh, you should have," like, I love my coffee.
me
I
too.
I do, and I'm not giving it up. I can just tell you that right now. And I do try to get a clean coffee. And I put my Humic in my coffee. Be- but I want to tell you a little secret. So I was listening to Gary Brecka, which I know you love him.
A friend,
Um,
of course.
and he was doing an interview with they call him the father of biohacking. His name's Dave Asprey. And Dave was talking about this chemical, or it's actually like a mycotoxin called okra toxin A. It's known as OTA. And depending on how the coffee company gathers the coffee, when they gather the coffee, you're going to find this toxin, this OTA in coffee, and you can't wash it out. You can't rinse it out. You can't roast it out. There's only one way that you can get this out of your coffee. Do you know what it is?
Let's hear
Hum-
it.
Humic acid.
Yep.
Humic acid will take it out of your body.
You know why, right?
No.
Because humic is a detoxifier. It takes out heavy metals and anything that's toxic in the body. So it does this essentially is it's removing the toxins from that coffee. And what people don't realize, and funny. I've mentioned a few companies like Wonder Bread and all these other companies, but I'm going to mention Starbucks. They roast their beans in China. This is nothing against China.
Right.
They roast their beans. They're putting these big, huge cargo ships, and on the way in, it's collecting mold, and then they deliver it into these coffee shops around the U.S. and throughout the world, and you're drinking mold.
Yeah,
But if you were to
absolutely.
add the humic back, like I did that this morning, I added 10 drops to my espresso, which was 2 shots and some almond milk.
I was
And
gonna say you're saying 10 drops. I just put two big old dropperfuls in.
it's approximately the same thing. I just get it and it's a syringe, and then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
I'm saying, and then I do that. You essentially that's around the same thing. It's just I do
Okay.
little drops, and I did it more for like a visual effect. But
Okay.
I did my 10 little drops like that, and I put it in my espresso because not just are they getting this mold and these toxins that are in your coffee. And I can say most people don't even, that's another conversation for another day about moldy coffee. But if you're drinking coffee right now, highly recommend adding humic minerals to your coffee, because not just that part of it, but sadly, how many people are dealing with osteopenia, osteoporosis, because coffee does leach minerals from your bones.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people are not just drinking a cup. I think the average American drinks 2+ more cups of coffee a
Yeah,
day.
and it's usually not even an attempt for it to be clean. They're getting it from the coffee, the gas station.
Yeah, don't pick
You
on me.
know,
That was a long time ago now. Okay.
yeah. But so when I'm saying to people get clean coffee, try to find a mold-free coffee or a chemical-free or USDA organic coffee. I drink that and I still put the humic in there just to protect myself. And
Absolutely.
because the humic is sticky and does pull things out of your body. So why not? It's not just that one thing, it's covering a lot of things. So what I wanted to mention though too was that this mycotoxin, that OTA,
Uh-huh.
it targets the kidneys and the bladder. It targets
Uh,
the kidneys and the bladder. So if you're having some issues there, I'm not a doctor, but you may want to consider. But I'm gonna post actually this interview in the description so that you can go listen to this, because there's a test you can do to see if your coffee's moldy.
oh,
When you drink your coffee and urinate, he gives you a little test that you can do, and then explains what's happening there. But yeah, so you put the humic and the fulvic in there, and that will help mediate that and get it out, along with a lot of other things. Um,
absolutely.
the other thing I wanted to mention is that the humic doesn't really have any flavor. It's just water, and you don't even taste it.
It's black.
Yeah, and it's black. Most people don't even taste it. I do have one client that says she can, but she may be a little crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
She's not listening to this right
But
now.
she says she can taste it, but I can't taste it,
It's
and
like water.
yeah.
It's like water. It doesn't do anything except, as a matter of fact, there is just water and the humic minerals in there, reverse us and nothing else. But I mean, if you went and got your hand and threw it and dig some soil out, of course it's going to have a little bit of taste, but it doesn't change the taste of your coffee. And
No, yeah, I
you,
don't even know it's there.
yeah, you know, and I add it, sometimes I add it to my espresso, or sometimes I'll add it to my a glass of water.
Hmm.
And, the black doesn't bother me. It's not like charcoal where it stains. It doesn't do any of that. But I feel it gently detoxing my body by the end of the day. Because it is acting, again, if I'm being repetitive here, it's acting as a prebiotic and a probiotic. And it's absolutely it is. And what it's also doing, it's helping to protect the body from oxidative damage. Most people don't know that either.
Oh, go ahead and explain what oxidative damage is.
You have an apple. You get the apple and you cut it, you leave it on the counter, it turns brown.
Yeah.
It's old. You probably don't want to eat it anymore. That's the best way I can describe it for those who are listening. That's what it's doing to your cells. By most of your diet, by the foods that you eat, and by everything else that you're doing that's not good for you, your cells have oxidative stress. They're like the apple on the counter that you left out and it's turning brown and it's no
It's
longer
that
good.
poor little cell saying, "Give me something.
Mhm.
Give me something good."
Exactly. So that is where humic comes in. It does protect your body from oxidative damage. It also stimulates the growth of beneficial bacteria because people think that all bacteria is bad in the body. No, it's
Mm.
all balance. You need good and you need bad, and you need the right amounts. And that's where humic comes in. It creates that homeostasis. It creates that perfect little rainforest that I talked about earlier, that forest that's thriving and vibrant and green and smells good. You're even, I'll tell you something. I was talking to someone recently and they have bad body odor. They're like, I don't know what it is. I take a bath, I put deodorant, I wear perfume. I go, you're doing everything wrong. Your body, your gut, it has there is an imbalance of the flora of the bacteria in there. But if you can bring that into balance, you won't even have to wear a deodorant because the food's sitting there, it's fermenting, it's not doing what it needs to do properly. You're probably not absorbing anymore. You need bacteria in your body, you need the right stuff, and you need the right amounts. They're like, really? I said, yeah. So I'm giving them chlorophyll and some other things to help them out. Do the same. This is kind of funny. I think I've been really TMI today, but in the mornings, okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay. I
Okay.
literally, okay, ladies and gentlemen, Dina does this every morning. I get my hand, I wipe my armpit, and I smell it. If there's no smell, that means everything inside is excellent. I have
That's a good tip. That's a good tip. Thank you for sharing that.
this is a true. I don't wear deodorant because I don't smell.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing the wrong foods and I'm not detoxifying. Again, this is wow. People are not going to let me live this up. I forgot that show from that movie from a long time ago where she'd put her hands in her armpit and go, I
Yeah.
can do that because I want to see that my microbiome is not fermenting foods and is in balance.
Yeah.
And so if you have bad breath and your toothpaste is not covering it up, that means something is not in balance in your body. So
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I also tell the people over and over again, like you have to have a variety in your diet too. You can't just grow certain microbes and have them be overabundant and then, you got these little guys over here that aren't growing. So
diversity.
like 28 different varieties of fruits and vegetables, like grow them evenly. Your body has the inbuilt ability to heal given the right circumstances. And
Absolutely.
we just are abusive towards it, and over time it starts to break down and create dis-ease in the body.
Absolutely.
are
And
there any are there any cautions with humic?
no, because I'm not a doctor. I can't say if you have diabetes to take this. I mean, I'm always going to say check with your doctor. Your doctor is going to be like, they don't know nothing about nutrition, but I would encourage anybody to just it's just minerals. You're living today because of minerals, so it should not have any harm to your body whatsoever. If you're pregnant, check with your doctor before taking it. I would say that there should be no interactions between humic and any medications. The reason it's just minerals. If you can eat spinach and carrots and tomatoes and broccoli while you're taking a medication, then you can take humic minerals. And
Right.
it's essentially, if anything, it should have a nutrition label on it and not a supplement label because it's
Right.
minerals.
My other thought too is that sometimes, I mean, we're such an immediate gratification society that sometimes when people start working towards getting healthy, they expect like miraculous results next week. And
Oh,
I usually take my clients for the most part, 90% of them will go through a functional medicine liver detox before they even start any type of protocol. But so you do see a relief pretty quickly. But to heal your body takes time and consistent behavior. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
absolutely, I do. So the human body is smart. God designed the human body to be intelligent and has the innate ability to repair and recover. If you don't take care of a cut, it's going to get infected and then you can lose your arm because it got infected, you just didn't take care of it. I share that. Why? Because the human body has the ability to repair itself. So what's happening is every 90 to 120 days, cells are turning over. They're either turning over for life or death. And so if you're fueling your body with all the right things. And with cell turnover time, you're going to regenerate life into those cells and regeneration of cells and all that good stuff between 90 to 120 days. Okay. And somebody's, well, I didn't feel anything. Well, your diet, your terrible diet, your gas station diet of taquitos and cheap coffee from the machine, like I did that for years. Um, and now I'm expecting like to take Humic and to drink water and exercise, and I want to be fixed overnight. That's a joke. You know,
Yeah.
body takes time to repair. You didn't get sick overnight. You're not going to heal overnight. But just know that every single little habit that you do every single day is going to affect your future self. So just, I always
Wonderful.
think 90 to 120 days to give your body a fighting chance to see some changes. I mean, you might, when I get a blowout like once a week, and she did my hair this morning. She's like, your hair is long. I said, it is. It's towards my back. And I go, I just cut it. And she's like, it's because I give myself the good stuff every single day.
Yeah, I agree. And your nails will be beautiful if you
Yeah.
have the good stuff. Your body will, if you are lacking in something, it's going to take from the things that aren't necessary, like your hair and your fingernails, to provide your body what it needs. It'll
Yeah.
sacrifice the things that it doesn't need.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just know, like, I like that. First of all, I want to say, like, when we started this call today and you made a prayer, I want to thank you for that, because to me, I don't care who's hearing or who's watching this, and if anybody has an issue with me talking about God, and then this space is really
Mhm.
for you, but it's not for you. But I really believe that He gave us everything that we need to
I,
heal. He gives
I
us
agree.
everything that we need to live well. He gave us everything that we need to just flourish and thrive because we're made in His image.
Right. I agree. My people, they're used to it.
I get some people there, I mean, I'm not a perfect Christian whatsoever, but I do
Me either.
know it comes from Him. And I still, you talked about the autoimmune conditions that I had. Years, I drank alcohol for years. I think I've been alcohol for 5+ years. I haven't drank alcohol because that was damaging my cells in my brain. And that's during that period when I got diagnosed with MS. Maybe the alcohol that I drank for many years, maybe it damaged the blood-brain barrier, which allowed an infection or something to go into my brain, into my spinal cord. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and but I do believe with all my heart, and I encourage anybody out there who's listening right now. I don't care what diagnosis you've been given, that God is all powerful. He's a master physician. He can heal your body. He can bring you the knowledge that you need to
Yes.
support your body. I'm not here to tell you to stop taking your medication. I would never do that. But if you're willing to do the work and willing to be a participant of your own rescue for whatever state you're in today as you listen, um, the answer is there.
I agree. I say we always pray and seek him, and without a doubt, he sends information. Without
Yes,
a doubt. But and I think the other thing too is like as humans that when he does send it to us, like be open to it. Don't be so influenced by everybody around you, but be open to like if that inner voice, if that inner Holy Spirit is pricking you with something, pay attention to it and don't dismiss it.
absolutely. You know what's interesting about that is when I was diagnosed with MS, I had went blind, and then I was walking with a cane. I was on 11 medications. I think of a picture somewhere. But and I was sick. I literally had brain fog. I couldn't feel my legs. I've dealt with chronic pain, everything. And somebody told me, because I didn't grow up, remember I told you guys all at the beginning, I didn't grow up knowing anything about the molecules in fruits and vegetables. And a lady who's a friend of mine was telling me about, how the importance of fruits and vegetables. And she was like, you should get a vitamin in your body or something that has fruits and vegetables in it. And I said, take your stupid vegetable fruits and go away. I told her 3 times. On the fourth time, I'm sitting at her house. I was stubborn. I still am. I was in her house and she's talking about nutrition. I was sick as a dog. I remember that I was hacking. I think I had a pneumonia. I don't know what was wrong. I was sick and I was still rebutting everything she was telling me. And I know that somebody out there listening to this right
Yeah.
now probably saying, shut up, Dina. Shut up, Chrissy. I don't want to hear this. But when there's a little still small voice that's saying, hey, there might be something here, you're going to hear the dog in a minute. So excuse me. But it was that conversation that I finally took heed, and I added fruits and vegetables to my diet, that because of that conversation back in 2013, that I'm here standing today.
Yeah, thank God
I
you
didn't
listened.
decline the information. I received it and I went to work and did the work.
Good for you.
So,
Well, I'm sure everyone's going to be excited to know that you're coming back next month.
yes,
You're going to bring Doug, who is the owner of Ameo, back
yes.
with you, and he's going to have a conversation with us about silver because I don't think people recognize how amazing the structured silver is for the human body. So,
The first antiviral, the first medication on planet Earth, and people used to use it to prevent their milk from going bad. And silver, it's just been demonized, sadly, by the government and by other entities. Maybe with
yeah.
RFK in office now, maybe he can make some changes there. But yeah, that's something that's been very, as a matter of fact, taking Humic with silver, structured silver, is very complementary, very synergistic, because again, we're not, it's because we do these things doesn't make us free from disease. It's disease has been around since we were born, even before then. It's just a part of life. But if we give our bodies a fighting chance with good nutrition and all those things, we're able to get through these moments in our life where, if we do get, like, there's the influenza A going on real strong right now, some people are not making it, they're dying.
Yeah.
If you give your body a fighting chance, you can get
That's
through.
what happened during the pandemic too.
Yeah.
The people that had the comorbidities and had not been taking care of themselves well were the ones that had the worst time with it. And so I'm sure your goal and my goal is to help people be proactive
Yes.
and get their body in a good place so they can handle when it needs to fight, it has a fighting chance. The cells aren't crippled as they're trying to fight. Do you have any last minute, last word wisdom that you would like to share? You've shared so much today.
Thank you. I hope I literally just come from my heart. Like I said, I don't have a fancy degree. I am a student of naturopathy, but I haven't graduated yet. But I come to all those who are listening today with someone who has been moments in my life where I wanted to die from the pain from
Mm.
autoimmune illness. I belong to some communities of people who have the rare disorder that I have, who have MS, who have Hashimoto's, and they're hopeless. And I hope that, well, I don't want to cry, but I hope that they took something from this to give them hope,
Yeah, yeah, me
not,
too.
not to give up.
Thank you for sharing your heart with us today and taking the time out of your day to join us. I loved everything that you said, and I do think that the information that you shared is going to help a lot of people. And I love your generosity. Like I said in the beginning, you share so freely with your time and your knowledge, and I appreciate that so much about you. And I look forward to March when you and Doug come back and join us and teach us
That'll be
about the
cool.
silver.
I think one last thing is,
Yes.
somebody's out there who doesn't know if they're mineral deficient, is to get in touch with you, because you do have something that could help them. And I've had a lot of people ask me already, like, how do I know? So I'm happy, when I share this with my friends and my family, you're definitely a trusted individual and practitioner to be able to do this mineral test for
I
them.
would love to help them. And I don't know if I shared the cost of that, but a lot of times people want to know what the cost is. It's 199 with the consultation.
That's
So
beautiful.
the test, and then meeting with me afterwards. Like I would order the test and send it to you. You do it right at home. You send it back. We get the results within 3 to 4 weeks. And then I would meet with you via Zoom, or if you're local, I would meet with you and we would go over what you need to do to get things balanced.
Wonderful. Well, thank you from the bottom of
Well,
my heart for your time, your generosity, your knowledge, and the best is yet to come.
for sure. Have